Hello and welcome to Stateside on Politics Social. And I'm joined by Brenna Duncan. How you doing, Brenna? Over
I'm
in
doing okay.
the US of A. And how's America doing? Is America okay?
No, no,
No?
it's
No?
it's it's not okay.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
It may never be okay.
Well, I've got a question. Has Trump's Madison Square Garden show yesterday? Do you think that's in a weird way secured statehood for Puerto Rico? Because they went out their way to slag off Puerto Rico, which isn't allowed to vote on who the president is,
Yeah,
and I think this is going to galvanise people to vote for
yeah,
statehood because they've got a referendum, haven't they, on the
yeah,
5th?
yeah. So yeah, we have we've always had Puerto Rico and Washington D.C. trying to get statehood because they don't have enough representation right
Ah,
now, and there's so much that goes on, especially at Puerto Rico. How many hurricanes in the last like 10 years have just hit Puerto Rico?
yes. Well, they had
And
two,
just
didn't they, in quick
devastated it.
succession? Maria and the other one.
Yeah. So
And
they
then,
need it. They need it because there are problems with getting them supplies,
yeah,
which they actually we have a what is it called? There's a
embargo.
it's not quite an embargo, but it's a
It,
way that
it has to come into a port in the contiguous 48 states
yeah.
of America
So we've had to
before going to Puerto Rico. I can't send a shipment of
we had to
stuff direct
we
from
had
the
to
UK to Puerto
suspend
Rico.
that. We had to suspend that for a couple of those hurricanes because they
Yeah, but
are
Trump didn't want to. He didn't think that Puerto Rico was part of the USA.
no, it's so like these people who say that
I'm
they're
laughing.
intelligent, like they know they can do their own research, like go on the internet and they still do not believe Puerto Rico is part of the United States.
That's kind of crazy, isn't it?
And Puerto Ricans are actually US citizens.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. There are 100,000, as Collins just pointed out in the chat. There's 100,000 voters in Puerto Rico. Sorry, in Pennsylvania who are of Puerto Rican heritage, and also there's something like 2 point something million people of Puerto Rican heritage in Florida. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that one joke might have sunk Trump's chances. I mean, yeah, even in Florida, like he might lose in Florida after this.
Well, one of the things about like when Puerto Rico was hit was that they had to place people. And of course, the closest state would be Florida. And
Yeah,
so, and once they get residents in Florida, they can vote because
yeah,
they don't need to be citizens. They just need residents. And
yeah.
once they get because they're already citizens, once they get residents in Florida, they can vote. And the
It
way
is.
that you treat them
Yeah,
will determine how they're going to vote. So yeah, I
it's
think
so crazy that Puerto Rico isn't a state. I mean, like, what is it? 36th in the list of most populous states. So there's about 14 states that have got fewer people in than Puerto Rico.
yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
I mean, Los Angeles itself is like three or four, some odd number of states.
Yeah.
Just the population of Los Angeles.
Jesus. Well,
Yeah.
there you go. Anyway,
That's why they don't want to get rid of things like the Electoral College in order
hmm,
to actually vote for the president, because if they did,
yes.
California would just blow everybody out of the water
What
because
would
of how
you
many votes we have.
would you prefer a straight up, uh, who wins the popular vote wins, or would you prefer it to still stay
When you
tied to the electoral college, where it's a pact where,
So there's debate on both sides, and it's not just like Republican versus Democrat, liberal versus conservatives. There are legitimate reasons to keep the Electoral College, but at the same time, the Electoral College came from the fact that um, these non-slave states, California, uh, what New York and stuff like that, they had heavier populations. The North had higher population.
yeah,
And so if you gave them the equal amount of voting rights as say the South, which didn't have as many as heavy a population, then that means that the South wouldn't have been represented. But now we're in a modern society in which we kind of we're more spread out. We don't have that type of we don't have agriculture versus industry as our
Yeah.
as the separation. So I feel at the end of it, we should just agree to get rid of that and go by strictly the popular vote. Now that leaves heavily Democratic because that's the way
Yes.
that we have
Well, that's
because
why it's not going to happen because the Republicans aren't going to allow it, are they? Because
they're not, and there's really no real way of, because once you get that, then you get things like voting rights passed, and then you get equal rights passed, and then you get
Yeah,
rid of gerrymandering, and which gerrymandering basically kills Republicans because then they can't weasel their way into power as easily. They actually
that's
have to
true.
go for votes. So that's also one thing is that the one good thing about going strictly for the popular vote is that you're going for particular vote, like individual votes, instead of the way that we do it here, where everybody's in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Texas, where my state gets left behind
Yeah,
as a populist state because we don't really have to do anything
but
because
but
all they need are those 54 votes. I think
yeah,
it's a 54.
but to play devil's advocate, I mean, you spend so much money on your elections as it is, so that it's over $1 billion now from Kamala Harris's camp they've spent on this election, and that's just on 7 swing states, effectively. I mean,
Yeah.
imagine if they've got to campaign in every state.
Well, why do they do come here? They just come here to get money. They don't spend money here unless it's
Yes, that's what I mean. They'll have to
unless it's
spend
very
it.
specific. Like we
Yeah,
did have just this past weekend because us here specifically in Orange County because we have been a Republican stronghold for so long and then we shifted for basically for 2 years we shifted completely Democratic. And now we're kind of we're wavering every 2 years when we vote. So we actually this past weekend we had President Bill Clinton in Orange County. We had they bust in canvassers and poll work canvassers from LA to help us. So we got Pod Save America yesterday. So it's like they're looking more at Orange County a little bit more, but that's because we have a lot of money here in Orange County. It's just we don't have people spending it correctly. Because we have such Republican strongholds, especially when it comes to the county itself.
yeah,
So they
understood.
need to work. So we had our so we've got a contentious congressional race right now
Yeah,
for our area. And then and that's what they've been really working on, especially after we redistrict a few years ago. Now the demographics have changed a little bit, so now they really worked hard on this one. So that's one of the races that we really need. So what is it? What are we? California 48, 47, something like that. They changed it recently, so it used to be 48. I think it's 47 this time. But that's a race to look at between Dave Min and Scott Baugh.
yeah,
Dave
yeah.
Min's my guy. He was our state senator for this area. So.
Cool. Well,
Yeah. So just make sure. I'm going to say this several
go on.
times. Vote, please, guys. If you haven't
Vote.
voted,
Any
go
Americans
out,
watching this, stop
go
watching this and
vote.
go and vote instead.
If you have American
And not
friends,
for Trump.
if you have American friends, please call them and make sure that they vote. Make sure they
Yeah.
check if they're like
Unless
me.
they're going to vote for Trump, and then just let them
Yeah,
stay at
then
home.
ignore. Then
Tell them
just
that it's January the 5th is the
that's
actual
that's
election date.
that's what Trump said.
Yeah,
So
that's what
you
Trump
got to
said,
go
and
with
he
what
never,
Trump
He
said.
never lies. He never says
No,
anything wrong.
he's the
He
man.
never gets anything wrong. He can...
He's such a strong, handsome.
I'm feeling a bit bad here because I haven't introduced the chat. Hello to everyone in the chat. How are you all
Hi,
doing?
chat.
If you would like to join our friends in the chat, just hit the subscribe button. Just tap on it nicely with your little finger. And wait 30 seconds and you'll be able to join everyone else in the chat. Puninator has dropped in our first super chat of the evening. I'm a little
yeah.
bit confused by it, so you might need to translate it for me, Brenna.
Okay.
Because I'm a bit slow sometimes. Yes, thank you very much to Puninator. To start off on a happier election note, have you seen the ERB between Trump and Harris? If so, please discuss. I don't know what ERB means.
Let me see if they're...
ERB between Trump and Harris? Herb? That's how you guys say herb, isn't it? Because you drop the H. Unless it's someone's name and the name is Herb and then you call them Herb.
Yes,
not
exactly.
Because that would be weird. But there you go. We've got while you're looking up what that means, I'm gonna just reel off some of the comments. Sarah's not feeling so good, still coughing. Sorry to hear that, Sarah. We've got Sisk and Edge saying we found the hurricane machines off the coast of Florida. They're called oil rigs. Very good. And Jeannie says, hope they did not vote early for the wrong ones. Well, yeah, exactly. Lots of Puerto Rican voters asking if they can take their vote back now. Christopher Bowles, I learned about Puerto Rico's status from a Rick Moranis film as a child, where an egg ball play was called The Annexation of Puerto Rico. Craig says, and yeah, there's loads of issues with Puerto Rico's historic treatment. It was set up to strip mine a lot of the economy there. Yes, indeed it was. Puerto Rico, always hurricane blowing, always the population growing. That's some lyrics from West Side Story. Anyway, and Siska Edge says the National Popular Vote compact movement in a number of states. Yeah, but getting the red states on board is going to be a bit tricky.
What's interesting is that we do every other voting, we do popular vote. But strictly for president and technically vice president as well, is that we do that one as the Electoral College. Other than that, everything else is popular vote.
Yeah. It's an epic rap battle. Sorry, it would have been.
I have not seen
epic rap battles of history.
Epic.
God,
I have seen some of them, but I have not seen that.
That feels like very early days of YouTube, along with Epic Mealtime. Good old days. Salad fingers, llamas in hats. Remember the days. Potter's Puppet Pals. Get nostalgic. Get nostalgic here for the early days of
Puppet Pals. I sing that song all the time.
I redid it. I did a version called Putin's Puppet Pals.
Oh, there you go.
With Boris Johnson, Donald Trump, Rupert Murdoch, and Tucker Carlson, and Nigel Farage. And Tucker Carlson's like the what is he, a squash or something? He's like a squash. Because in Puppet Pals, he's Neville Ledbetter, whatever his name is, Longbetter. The hell's Neville's surname? Jesus, my Harry Potter knowledge is leaving me.
Neville Longbottom?
Longbottom, that's it. As J.K. Rowling becomes more and more transphobic and more my memories of Harry Potter disappear. He's portrayed as a squash, isn't he? As like a little pumpkin thing, I think. In Potter Puppet Pals. And so in Tucker Carlson was... Anyway, I'll send you the link after the show. An epic rap battle is what her from Baywatch used to do, says Super Tiny 808. So, I mean, all things being equal, do you think that the absolute catastrophe that was Donald Trump's big fascist, Nazi, racist, xenophobic, misogynistic, sexist, homophobic, transphobic mess of an event in Madison Square Gardens last night, do you think it's going to change anything? Do you think it's going to change people's minds at this point? Or do you think it's too late?
I think people are burnt out. I really do. And I think you're going to see that. You're going to see that in the polls. I think people are just going to, they're just going to shut off their phones and all that. I think because early voting started like a couple weeks ago in certain states, including my state. We're done. I did go canvassing on canvassing on Saturday, and there were people that I talked to that didn't vote, and I'm like, it's so easy. Like here in California, we want you to vote, whereas in other places they don't want you to vote. So I don't think there's much of a change that Trump did, but then again, it's hard to understand why he's still in it, because he if he doesn't win, he's going to jail, or at least, with a ankle monitor for most of his
Yeah.
life, for whatever left is his life. He's not going to he's not going to be the person that he wants to be, because he's got way too many trials coming up. I mean, look at what Elon is doing right now. Elon's
I'd
gonna
rather
go to
not. I'd rather not.
jail.
Elon's a particularly evil person. But it is weird. The three richest people in the world, that is Vladimir Putin, Elon Musk, and Jeff Bezos, are all teaming up to try
Yeah.
and get Trump elected. That should set alarm bells off in a lot of people's heads. I really think it should.
And especially with so many non-Americans, like we're such an there are ideas that America's first, right? That
Yeah.
whole Nazi level saying, but yet Elon Musk is an American.
Yeah.
Putin's not American. You start listening to all these people who aren't American. Like,
Yeah.
you're obviously don't care enough
Murdoch.
about America to like actually listen to Americans. And a lot of Americans are saying Trump's policies are awful. His
Yes.
economy is the economy is going tank.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah,
wants
yeah,
it to.
yeah.
He wants it to.
He wants it to because he'll make money.
Yes.
He's a disaster capitalist. This is the
Yes,
this is
exactly.
the last hurrah of the disaster capitalists.
Yeah,
If they
exactly.
lose this time, it's over. If they win this time,
Yeah.
we're in a lot of trouble.
So it's Kamala is the only one that has like good policies, and there is it's a contrast between them, and it's like,
Yeah.
if we are actually, I hate this. If you are actually doing your own research, you're going to find out that Trump is actually really bad.
Yes.
Like, do your own actually do
their
your
own
own research.
They don't do their own research.
They don't. They
I-
just tell you to do your own research.
Oh yeah. Because the 5 minutes I spent on the internet watching a YouTube video is perfectly comparable with
Yeah.
my degree from an actual university in history and politics. Yeah.
You? History
yeah.
and politics?
Yeah, you wouldn't
Wow.
think it. I wouldn't.
I would.
Sarah's saying that Elon Musk is like a James Bond baddie. I take issue with that. I don't think he's like a James Bond baddie at all. I think he's like an Austin Powers baddie.
Yeah,
'Cause
like
he's
a
stupid.
joke.
He's really stupid.
Can we talk about Elon for a little bit? Because
Yes,
I mean,
I suppose.
this
Could we just before we talk about Elon, can we just Paul has just pointed out the most disgusting thing that Paul has ever seen is Tucker Carlson talking about spanking his 15-year-old daughter.
yes, yeah.
I mean,
They're not even hiding. Like, they're not even hiding it anymore.
they're just the most horrible people ever.
They don't have to hide it, because nobody's
had
going
such
to
a
call them
platform.
out on like spanking his 15 for like where like was it talking back? There was one about
Yeah,
like
talking back. Yeah, something
like-
like that. Yeah. I personally
not-
think we need to bring back Arkham asylums for the criminally insane. It's the only way to be sure. Okay.
well, Trump thinks that asylum means insanity, and not
Yes.
seeking asylum as in seeking help and
Yes.
security.
Trump needs help. He thinks that he's being backed. He genuinely thinks that he's being backed by Hannibal Lecter. He's mentioned this again and again and again. He thinks that maybe he's talking about Anthony Hopkins, who certainly hasn't backed Trump.
No,
But he's saying, Hannibal Lecter, he eats people, but what a performance. And he backed me. I'm like, no, he didn't.
It's almost like he's throwing out these things to see how his like supporters will react, and they don't care.
I know.
That's the sad thing, is that they're
Well,
not
scary
thinking.
thing. That's the
They're not
scary thing.
thinking about like what he's actually saying. They just
Yeah.
like the way that he says things. Like Hannibal Lecter he's evil and he's scary and he's smart. And so if he talks about Hannibal Lecter, then of course he'd be associated with that dangerous man.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh my God!
Sorry.
What a time to be alive. Okay, come on. Let's talk
No,
about
it's not.
Elon then. Let's talk about Leon Musk, the son of a South African emerald
Emerald.
farmer.
Emerald mine.
Miner. Well, he owned the mine.
Yeah, he
So,
didn't do any of it.
no, he got black people to work in his mine for him during apartheid South Africa, so he probably didn't even pay the black people for working in his mine and making him and his son's fortune. Turns out Elon was working as an illegal immigrant back in 1995. Fun fact.
Yeah.
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 Back when he was losing his hair.
Build the wall.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if we can start by kicking out Elon Musk and Rupert Murdoch, I'll be all for it. But they're not going to, because this
No.
is the tyranny of
Because
the
it's
billionaires.
it's money.
Yeah, yeah,
And if you have the money, you have the power.
yeah, indeed. But yeah, go on. Tell us more. Tell us more about.
So
Musky.
Elon Musk decided that he was going to throw his hat into the ring for Trump. And if you don't know what has happening, you have to understand Pennsylvania. Elon decided to pay people or lottery to register to vote, as well as sign a agreement, that they are going to uphold the First and the Second Amendment. The First Amendment is freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom, which they don't believe in, by the way. They don't believe in freedom of speech, freedom of press, or freedom of religion, or freedom to assemble. Look it up. The Republicans do not believe that.
Yeah.
And then
Do
the
your
Second
own
Amendment.
research.
Do your own research. Look
Do
it up.
your own
And then the Second Amendment is, of course, their favorite on the right, which is the right to bear arms, or in their case, have guns to kill people, animals, and just mostly children for some reason. AR-15s, they believe that that's part of it. But so he had people sign those. And then what he would do is that if you're if you're a registered voter, he would put you in a lottery. So if you sign the petition or sign the agreement, make sure you're registered to vote, then you get into this lottery, and he would give you $1 million. So this happened in Pennsylvania. He gave out a few of them, like a couple at each rally. And you had to be there. You had to be present in order to get it. And suddenly everybody who was part of the lottery, if you were there. Weird. So
This is-
apparently
This is so illegal.
is so illegal. I just got the little notification about probably four hours ago that said that Pennsylvania, so the state of Pennsylvania is suing Elon because he doesn't have a lottery license. He also didn't post rules, and they might be looking into it. It might be rigged. So it might only go to, instead of everybody,
Yeah.
it might only go to a select few people. And of course, also with these kind of things, you also have pay taxes on it.
Yeah.
So because of so if he might not be registered in Pennsylvania, it might be the rules, I guess, weren't posted so that you can change the rules how you want it to be. And then of course it might be more limited than what he said. So, and then of course if it's paying people to register to vote, that's also illegal. You can't pay people to register to vote. You can't pay people to vote. That's very, very illegal. So I'm whatever God to pray to right now. I hope he gets thrown in jail.
I hope he gets deported back off to South Africa where he belongs. Although they probably don't want him in South Africa. Punninator, thank you again for the super chat. That's very kind of you. More. Thank you. I'm a believer that the forefathers, when given the right to bear arms, didn't mean guns, but just the right to have a hug from Winnie the Pooh. There you go. Someone else made the joke. Joni, support T-shirts, enforce the right to bear arms. See what he's done there. Very good. It's all about the interpretation.
Actually, what the actual amendment says is that to what was it? I actually have it. To militia, a well-regulated militia,
That's the one.
a
Of
well-regulated
malicious
militia,
people.
the right to bear arms. And
Mm,
so this is the thing that a lot of these right-wingers think that they're just two separate,
yeah.
like they're two separate sentences where you have a well-regulated militia, which basically means the military or some form of that, and then everybody has the right to bear arms. But if you actually put them together, you have to regulate the people who have the guns,
Yeah.
and they don't want that because that means the government can tell you who can and can't have guns, which means they can technically take your guns away. But
No, not my guns. Don't take my
because
guns.
apparently
But you can't change an
the
amendment.
wow, Graham,
Yeah. See what I did there?
it's only in the name.
It's only in the name of
It's only
literally
in the
an
name.
amendment. You can't fight in here. This is the war room. We got
Exactly.
Hey Hum Puds, who's reminding us of the B side of the Chicken Song, which is a song that came out in the mid 80s. Spitting Image. It was written by the same guys who wrote Red Dwarf. Rob Grant and Doug Naylor wrote the lyrics to it, I think. And it's the B side was called "I've Never Met a Nice South African." And the lyrics went, "No, he's never met a nice South African, and that's not bloody surprising, man, because we're a bunch of arrogant bastards who hate black people." Because this is back in the day where you couldn't be a South African citizen if you were black. You needed
Yeah.
effectively a passport. You live in a township outside the city, and to work in the city, you'd have to effectively use a passport to
Yeah.
come into the city to work. Because
Well,
that's how
Trevor
South
Noah
Africa
talked a
worked.
lot about that on his on the Daily Show and all
Yeah.
in his books and stuff, where he literally he had to be snuck in. His mother snuck him in to her working with his own father. So yeah,
That's mad, because his father was
it's
white and his mum was black.
yeah.
Yeah.
So and they couldn't actually live together. So
Jesus
it's so
Christ.
weird. I'm
But there's,
sorry. I
there's
don't understand.
millions of Americans who want that. That's the future. They look
I
at the
don't
past in
I
South
don't
Africa and go,
understand
that's
racism.
the
Like I
future we
really don't.
want.
It's so weird. Oh
Yeah.
God.
But
Sorry, I
no,
don't understand racism. I don't understand misogyny. I don't understand transphobia. I don't understand homophobia. I just don't understand it. It just makes no
I
sense to me.
I
What's the point?
understand it in that, from an empathetic point of view. I don't, I don't think that people should be like that, but I understand these people are scared, they're terrified. They wake up every day and they're absolutely terrified. I guess they
Hmm.
feel like they haven't achieved what they wanted in life, or that just life scares them or whatever, and they want a nice, simple idea, like a utopia, like something to look forward to. And in a lot of racists' head, they think that if we got rid of all the foreigners, then everything would be great. And it's like, you do know that we invest a lot of time and energy into like homegrown white people who turn out horrible and
Yeah, it's
useless,
not
and
just it's
it's like, and
not
we've had to
just
pay for
black and
their
brown
education.
people.
Yeah, well, as if someone's coming from another country, you haven't had to pay for their education. So it turned out to be wrong, and it's
Yeah.
not quite so bad. And there's a chance that they're not actually a national of this country. You can deport them, send them somewhere else. It's cheaper than putting someone in a
See,
in a cell
see
for the
the
rest of their life.
The
It's
problem
quite
is
expensive.
it's the rich people who are telling us to hate the immigrants, but in real life, we should all just hate
Yes.
billionaires because
Yes.
those are the people that are destroying our country. But we
Yes.
can't, nobody wants, like, we can't say that
No.
because billionaires are making the money.
Implode billionaires. That's what I say. Um,
Was it Eat the Rich?
yeah, eat them. That's the only good thing about them. They're edible. Yoni, put a chicken in your ear. Let us speak of apero. Sorry, it's lyrics from this stupid song we used to
Uh,
sing as kids. It was on a TV show called Spitting Image, and they had these puppets that would satirize what was happening in politics. The 80s were a wild time. What can I say?
yeah.
And the chicken song, the A side, got to number one. So a song got to number one in the charts here, and the B side was "I've Never Met a Nice South African."
Maybe
Um,
that's the real reason why it did so well.
yeah, I think the lyrics were, I've had a close encounter of the 22nd kind. That's when an alien spaceship drives into your backside. I've met the King of China and I work in Yorkshire Minor, but I've never met a nice South African. No offense to actual South Africans these days. It's just back in the 80s, it was a little bit different under apartheid.
Yeah,
It was a
apartheid was
different world.
bad. We could.
It was a bad
It,
thing. Let's not go back there. So I want to do a bit of positive energy because I feel like I in particular have been criticised a bit, perhaps fairly, on this channel
okay.
for being a bit,
Negative.
being a bit Nelly negative. Yeah.
Debbie
So
Downer.
someone pointed out the fact that there was just so many of these polls that have come out that have been funded or done by right-wing sources. It shows that they're possibly panicking and going, oh my God, like they were ahead of Biden by a mile. Like,
Yeah.
and then as soon as Biden stepped down and Harris stepped up to the mark, then, or the place, the hockey, whatever.
Well, I mean, look at like where they're going. They're going
switched.
to, like Pennsylvania. Like that is a swing. That is a huge swing state. And now like Trump is, well, illegally with Elon Musk is trying to get more people registered, more voting for them. They
Yeah.
are. I don't think Pennsylvania is too much of a toss up anymore.
Yeah.
I think, and that may be why Trump is panicking so much with this, with trying to get people to, be on his side, because I think they're doing, you got to see who spends money where, or who spends their
Yeah.
time where. And Pennsylvania has been really a big one
Yeah.
because the Harris campaign knows that it's actually in their favor. And I think we're going to see a little bit more of that, especially now that early voting and ballot. I checked my ballot to make sure it got counted. So there you go. There's at least one for Harris in California.
Excellent. Jolly
Yay.
good. Jolly good.
I have a sign out front of my door. I'm very happy about that.
Oh, you got a sign. I want a sign.
Yeah,
Send me a sign.
I just got a sign
It'll probably be over by the time
the
I
other
get
day, even though I already turned in my ballot, but I have a sign. Which we were talking with my other fellow Democrats yesterday, and it's like we are talking about how different this election has been, especially in this area, because like I said, Orange County being far more of a Republican stronghold, um, I've seen a lot more Harris Wall signs and even flags and all that stuff, a lot more than I have in the last few elections. Like I've
Yeah.
seen more Democratic on the national scale, a lot more in this election. And I feel like
Oh,
people are
that's
a
good.
little bit more excited about it.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot more volunteering for working with campaigns. There's a lot more uh work involved, and then of course, as you just noted, like a lot more money is coming in,
Yeah.
and I think she's trying to use that as best as to her ability.
Well, over a
um
billion, over $1 billion. Billion. They could just bribe the voters. That was legal. I mean, Elon has. So
I mean,
if he can do
if
it, they can do
if
it.
Elon gets away with it,
Yeah.
guess what,
It's open season.
we could do
Yeah.
whatever we want now.
Commander DJ Burp, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Thank you. Coffee? Yes, thank you. Thank you. I will use that to actually get a coffee. Thank you. And Tim Ballon, £10 super chat. You seen the ballot drop boxes burning? What's this about? Have you heard anything about?
I have not seen ballot drop boxes burning. Luckily. I've not heard anything because, like,
I've not heard
one of the
anything about
last
this.
elections, we had some problems with the ballot boxes, not here, but in other parts of the county, Orange County especially. But recently we haven't. The ballot boxes are pretty damn solid.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And also, Mikey likes to point out that the people who effed around are now finding out, the people who worked in, the counting places who didn't follow the rules correctly, they're going to jail. I mean, they're literally going to jail. It's like these, middle-aged soccer moms, and they're like,
and
why I
we
can't go to jail? I'm a
and
middle-aged soccer mom. And it's like,
and
no, you
we
can't.
have something as well.
Don't break
So
the law.
if you um like you can't vote twice, but if you send in like your mail-in ballot, but you decide, hey, I want to switch. You just go and you cancel it. You cancel that one out, and then you can do another ballot. They allow you as long as that one's canceled.
Yeah.
So if something happens to the ballots, at least you can go and you can vote. You can re-vote again. They'll allow you to do that. So it's I don't know why burning ballot boxes is going to do anything but cause you to go to jail,
Yeah, exactly. For a long
which you
time.
should.
Yeah.
You should,
Yeah, for disrupting democracy.
because
Uh,
voter fraud is illegal, and yet some people are still running for president who
Indeed,
voted fraud.
indeed. Puninator, that super chat animation was for you. Question for Brenna. Do you think any surprise states will come out with an unexpected result? I've heard Texas could turn blue. Any more in sight?
Um, I think Texas could, and I think because of course Ted Cruz is just so very unpopular. I just don't know if Colin Allred, who is running against him, is going to be able to beat him
I
enough.
do not like that man, Ted Cruz.
Uh most people most Republicans don't even like Ted Cruz,
What's his real
which
name?
is
Eduardo or something? Raphael. Raphael.
Raphael.
Isn't it
Um
funny how him and Nikki Haley won't use their real names, whereas Kamala Harris will,
because they're
Barack
too
Obama will?
ethnic, right? And
Yeah,
they're Republican, or they're in the Republican mindset, and they won't even use, because it's too ethnic. They don't like ethnic people in there. And
yeah.
you can tell, like, every picture of every intern at, I love comparing the Democrat intern picture to the Republican intern picture, and there is just a huge contrast. There are so many white people on the Republican side that it is frightening.
Yeah. Have you noticed
But
also that they always say instead of Barack Obama, they say Barack Hussein Obama, and I think they should. I think the Democrats should return the favor and call
yeah,
Trump Donald Hitler Trump, or just call him Hitler.
he's Drumpf. That's his actual family
It
name.
is Trump.
Drumpf. Drumpf.
Trump.
Look at it. Do your
Yeah.
own research.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. When it comes to other states, I don't think that there's going to be any big surprises. Like Florida's not going to be turning Democrat. I think I think it's going to continue being a slow push, but I do think Florida might be a little, it might be weaker um for the Republicans. Um I think Texas is going to be weaker. Um I'm shocked. I think what might happen is that places that are heavily Mormon, the Mormons are not voting for Trump.
Ooh,
I
really?
think there has been a lot bigger push
Oh,
against Trump now, do I think that they're going to be voting for Kamala Harris? Probably not. But I
that would
don't
be.
think they like Trump. I think Trump
Mm,
is they don't, but don't that was months ago when I read that. But I don't think that there's going to be any major surprises. Um I think there's going to be a shift though, and
yeah.
that's good because you can't have um a Democratic president without having more Democrats in the other houses as well as in the states. You can really tell the difference between Democratic run states and Republican run states. There's lists of like Republican run states are poorest, uh the worst health care systems, worst education systems, worst housing, and then Democratic states are complete opposite. So
Yeah,
do
but
your
not
own
all of them though.
research.
I mean, to be fair,
There's
there
a
is
few.
one or two. So in the bottom 10 states in America in terms of economic output, 9 of them are red states, and one of them is
Mhm.
blue. And also, the Democrats do have corrupt politicians, like the guy in New York at the moment, who's
But
incredibly
we kick
corrupt,
them out. Like
who
we're
seems to be
different. We
supporting
don't
Trump now.
we don't apologize for them. We go, "Oh yeah, they're
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah, 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 yeah.
No, go away." We actually, yeah, I mean, we've of course, as New York, Chicago has had a few Democrats that Mikey himself has kicked out of office. Just himself, just
Personally,
personally. But
brilliant.
we
Love
we
Mikey.
we don't we don't apologize for them, and like we're not the Republicans, they want whatever that particular person gives to the party. While Democrats, we get rid of them. I mean, we
Well,
get rid of
yeah,
a fewer because we have fewer corruption,
yeah.
but
But you stop that. It's the same with Labour and the Conservatives over here. So Labour MP over the weekend decided to have a fist fight outside a pub at 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, it wasn't much of a fist fight because he was the only one punching the other fella. Don't know what the altercation was about, but not really something that you should be doing as an elected member
yeah,
of Parliament, representative of a constituency. And he was dropped like a hot stone by
yeah,
the Labour Party.
yeah,
He's not only lost the whip, he's lost his membership of the party. So he can't even go to Labour Party events anymore. And I doubt that he's going to get it back any soon because it's a bit of a cut and dry case. I mean, it's like,
yeah.
okay, even if the guy has made some really inappropriate "your mama" joke, you know that's not right for any person to react that way, especially not an
Yeah.
elected representative. So yeah, whereas the Tories would have made all kinds of excuses and gone, well, we don't know we don't know what the other guy did. He might do something
Right,
really horrible. It's
exactly.
like that's not the point.
He's a
But
Yeah, he's a
yeah,
victim. He's not
yeah,
the
he's the victim.
perpetrator. No, we drop them like a bad habit.
Yeah,
They're gone. And I'm proud of that because we don't want that.
yeah,
We want people who are for because democracy, we want people for democracy. And so people who are corrupt, people who take money, take trips, um, people who pay for Barack Obama's Senate seat, get to go to jail and
yes.
then get pardoned by Trump.
Yes, well, that's the other worry, isn't it? If Trump does get in, he can. I mean, he's already got a lot of power over the judiciary in America, way more
Oh yeah.
power than the separation of powers really does allow for, and or should allow for. And yeah, he's got to get rid of poor Jack Smith. In the stolen documents case and the
Hmm.
January the 6th case, and that just leaves the Georgia case. And I do have a question about this. I don't know if you know, but like, can Trump derail the Georgia case, or is that the only one that he can't touch,
I'm
even if
not
he
sure
wins?
when it comes to something like federal, yeah, he can do whatever he wants to the federal because if he's at that level, he can do it. But I don't know statewide because
Right.
states are a little bit different. Due to the nature of uh, U.S. politics, is that we have state autonomy, um, which can be either really good or terrible. So depending on what the problem is, such as states' rights for abortion access,
Yeah.
it has killed people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I'm not sure about the Georgia thing. I haven't heard much from it. I know they kept pushing it out. So there was some problems, of course, with uh the Attorney General, I think it was. Um, but I I'm not quite sure. I haven't heard from it.
Oh well,
Be
no,
really,
it was the woman who was it was the DA, wasn't it? District
yeah,
Attorney Fannie Willis or
the
Farney Willis.
Bonnie.
She was having it away with the one of the lead prosecutors, which honestly, why couldn't you just like this is the most important case, one of the most important cases in the history of America. Like, why would you be just I don't know. People are stupid. Anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
Tim, thank you very much for the super chat, Tim. Video of a Dropbox alight in Oregon. In Oregon, apparently. Someone setting a Dropbox on fire. That's not good. I hope that doesn't get repeated around America, although Oregon's pretty solid blue, isn't it?
Yeah, there's no problem with Oregon.
Isn't that where Portland is?
Yes,
As in, keep Portland
Oregon
weird.
or Oregon, depending on where you're from.
Oh, do people say Oregon? Like
Yeah, some people say
oregano?
Oregon or
Okay.
Oregon. I say Oregon
I say Oregon.
because
I say it right.
I have California. Our accent is terrible.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Tim saying, Graham, there's talk that the punch bloke has been prosecuted for stalking the MP. Yeah, like I say, even if he had done something really horrible to him, that's not the way that you deal with that situation. It's just not, and it can't be used as a thing as a defense to say, oh well, something bad
Yeah.
had been done to him. So instead of getting the police involved, like he should have done, he decided to take matters, justice into his own hands.
See, that's
So
the difference between you guys and us because we would just shoot them.
yeah, but we don't have guns, so we just have to use
Yeah,
our
see,
guns. Guns.
that's why you're such a weak country.
No, we're not.
Except for
Except for that massive empire that we had and the amount of
except
stuff.
for all the
Sorry,
other stuff.
what language
One
are
of the
you
best
speaking
navies in the
again?
world.
What language are you
Right?
speaking? Are we speaking American? Are we? No, no, no. I fear not. I think we're both speaking English. Two countries separated by a common language. Apparently. Anyway. Plus we had Shakespeare and the Beatles, so we win. Ian McKenna saying it was 2 a.m. in the morning. It's pretty obvious what happened. Well, yeah, that's what I thought.
A little too much, at the pub.
Little bit too much white lightning, which is very cheap cider. Anyway, so we were talking a bit about Musk. He was there at the show last night, the debacle, and Tucker
The Nazi
Carlson
rally, because that's
turned up.
basically what it was.
And there was echoes of an actual Nazi rally that took place in the precursor to Madison Square Garden back in 1939, on the cusp of the stars of World War II. And there were lots of similarities there. And do you think that, we're saying that it might be a bit late now for sort of people changing their votes, but I think that I doubt it's brought anyone on board. Do you think it's brought anyone who's undecided about Trump? Do you think it's brought them on board? Any New Yorkers watch that?
I think when you actually list, like when they do the town halls or whatnot, and people are undecided or still deciding, they're not looking for entertainment. They're looking for substance.
Yeah.
And when they ask about policies, they ask about this and that. You said this at one point, you say this now. Why did you do that? They're not looking for somebody to put fireworks in the air and go like, oh, that one's the one I want. The ones that have this particular singer or whatnot. They're looking for some sort of substance. So I think something like that, one large rally like that, that's for the cash. That's for money.
Yeah, but hang on, that Kamala's done the same thing. She had Beyonce come out and perform, didn't she? So I mean, which was in Texas, which she's probably not going to win, but she might. You never know.
But yeah, I mean, most of the stuff is for money. It's weird that Beyonce decided to endorse her so far. Sorry, I thought that was weird. I thought she would endorse her a little bit sooner, at least
maybe she had things to do. Maybe she was busy.
It's Beyonce. Beyonce, the world will stop for her.
Yeah, but she won't.
Changes economies of countries.
Yeah, I know.
You're like,
one of the big pushes behind Kamala at the beginning of all this. One of the things that I thought, oh my God, she might win this now, was when Taylor Swift came out and said, I support Kamala, and then Trump. All caps, 3 o'clock in the morning. I hate Taylor Swift! ! Exclamation mark!
Yeah, that doesn't help.
I mean, is any woman under the age of 30 going to vote for Trump? I just don't think so. I just don't.
I really don't understand how women in droves will vote for Trump. Now, one of the biggest problems when it comes to women voters is white women, where we tend to be a lot more comfortable where we are. So we want to go with the one that looks like they're going to be more comfortable. That's why this election has been so unique in the way that we've been able to talk to each other, especially women, women of all different, we've been able to look more there was one thing that every Zoom call, every white woman for Harris, every cat ladies for Harris, every Swifties for Harris, that I've been to, is always the black women for Harris, the first call that was made after Biden stepped aside, and then Harris was his successor on that one. That like they were the first call, they were the first gathering, and then from that point on, it's always been the Black Women for Harris have been our model because Black women are highly educated, highly. They are highly motivated. Their uh, ability to create, to gather, to create, to inspire is far greater than any other of these groups that have been. So yes, thank you, Black women, for really making us white women say we need to do this too. And you see that with the white men, you see that with the Black men, you see that with all different of these groups that have actually come forward, and it creates a real sense of community.
Yeah.
So I feel a
Yeah.
lot better because
Yeah.
I know that we are all in this together and trying to understand why a woman, let alone a white woman, would be voting for somebody as horrific as Trump
Yeah.
is beyond me. So
Yeah,
we need to do
indeed.
better. We
Indeed.
as women, white
The
women, we need to do better.
the thing is, I mean, there are a lot of points in this where you can go, that's really cool. That's a really good thing that the Democrats have done. And and I watched some of Tim Waltz and Alexandria Ocasio Cortez doing. They were playing Madden. They're playing an NFL game,
Yeah.
and doing like a
Madden, I think
Twitch
it was
stream.
Madden. Yeah, on the
Yeah, it's
Twitch.
brilliant, really cool, really really cool thing to do. However, I think that it has been overshadowed by this whole thing of like, I wish Kamala had had a year to prep for this. Do you know what I mean? Like, so we could get to know, well, the people of America. I mean, it's not like I've got any say in this, but the people of America could really get to know her better because it feels very rushed. And the weird thing is, for a British election, this would be a really long election because it goes
Right.
on so long. We have 6 weeks. There's just like Parliament's
You're like
over,
down,
election,
down,
and then
down.
literally the day after the election, we have a new prime minister.
Yeah.
Like we don't fuck about. We don't have this
No.
whole It's like
Like we
3 months,
voted
man.
this
We can't
person out.
vote. Yeah,
There's no
yeah.
lame duck section.
No,
'Cause
no. It's just you're gone. Like see ya.
yeah.
Go get another job. But yeah. And so yeah. That's if touch wood, Kamala will win, and she'll win by a lot because the thing is, the polls are right. It's within the margin of error for Kamala to win a landslide. Also,
Yeah.
it's within the margin of error for Trump to win a landslide as well. But let's not think about that. But it feels to me like the sort of when we look back on this in the future, if she doesn't win, I think that the fact that Biden held on right to the
Yeah,
end,
a little
right
too
until he
long.
thought he was dying of freaking COVID before he went, okay, actually, no, I'm not going to stand as president.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of upsets me. I wish that hadn't gone down that way. I think when Biden was elected in the first place in 2020, I was hearing that he was going to be a one-term president over here, so people were talking about it. I assume that was the
He
deal.
was I thought yeah, I heard the same things. I heard because we had Trump and we just needed to put somebody out there that would beat him. Like that was the whole idea was to put out somebody that would beat him. Biden wasn't even going to run. Like
Yeah,
he really wasn't thinking about it. But what happened was that before he got in and the polls were coming out about who do you think the Democratic nominee would be, Biden kept rising, even
yeah,
though he wasn't actually in. He was just like, should he win because he was the vice president, and he's been such a long stay, and that's when they threw him in the race, and he just kept going and going. Now he was supposed to be just to get rid of Trump.
yeah,
That was the whole point of him because they found out that more people were going to be voting for him because of his rising in the polls. So I think that was, I don't know if there was a deal going on, but I do see that maybe his job was to not let Trump get into office. And
yeah,
that was successful. He got Kamala Harris as his VP. That's a big deal.
yeah,
And I think I wish, I wish that she had more to actually run on because I still think that that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, this administration has achieved a lot. One angry pagan in the chat there. Did I hear correct that the US has finally gotten around to increasing and improving its electricity grid over the last few years? Yes, it has, with the exception of Texas, which is weird and
Well,
has its own grid. But yeah,
we don't talk about Texas.
this is so weird.
It's
There's three grids in America. There's like the West Coast grid, the East Coast grid, and
and Texas.
Texas.
And Texas is the worst grid.
Yes, of course
Because
it
they
is.
don't maintain it. They don't have the money to maintain it. So that's when,
Yeah,
what was it, 2 winters ago,
yeah,
when Ted Cruz left,
yeah,
the grid was destroyed from the major snowstorm that came in. And he
yeah,
left.
yeah,
He left for Cancun because his daughter needed to be dropped off there. Because of course she wouldn't be staying in the cold. I
yeah,
don't know. The
yeah.
daughter who hates him, by the way.
Yeah. How could
The
you
one that
not? How could you not? Yeah. But yeah, it
so
was.
gross. He's such a gross human.
I'm off to Cancun. You guys can freeze.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's about balancing the grid. So this happens a lot. We've got grid connectors now with
Yeah.
mainland Europe, which go under the sea. And it just helps balance the grid out. And without that, you get, you have times when there's just not enough power in the system. You got times when there's too much power in the system. So these interconnectors really, really help. But having a state with its own electricity thing, and it was just because they wanted to be different, wasn't it? It wasn't like there was no practical reason for it. It made again, like everything the
It's
Tories do.
private companies coming in and
Yeah,
saying, "Hey, we can do better," and then they
yeah,
just
and they
don't
don't.
because it's not. It's just suitcase full of money. Like
If you
that's
want,
all they care about.
if you want to know how privatization doesn't work, Brenna, come over here and check out our rivers because they are all literally full of sewage. There isn't a single watercourse in the entire United Kingdom now that hasn't got poo in it, thanks to our privatized water companies. Well, in England anyway. I don't know about
Fun.
Wales and Scotland. I think they've got their own thing going on. But yeah, really, really irritating. Ian is saying that Rogan interview is a must watch. By the way, it is the ramblings of a madman. My nephew was trying to get me to watch it today, and I was like, I'd rather eat my own head because the sight of Trump makes me feel sick. And the sight of Joe Rogan makes me feel sick. So the two of them together, it's just Bath City. It's I don't know. It's not going to appeal to female voters, is it, Brenna?
No, I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I don't know how people. They're like women who are just like goo goo gaga for Trump. I don't understand it. He's not good looking.
No,
He's not young. He
no.
doesn't. Just the pictures of him smell like trash.
Yes,
Um,
he's really tacky. He's like new.
he's
He's everything that like British people hate him. British people hate him because he's got no manners. He's got no class. He's got no style. He's got no charisma to us. To us, he's
yeah.
just a bombastic, loud, stupid, archetypal, stereotype, whatever you want to call it, American. The type of person who, when you get back off your holiday, you're like, oh, it was a great holiday. Except, do you
Yeah.
remember that really loud American? Oh, God, yeah. Oh, God. Oh, yeah. And so this does happen sometimes when Americans actually get out of America. But yeah, it's just, I think he just personifies what the rest of the world see of, think of when they think of a stereotypical American. Brash, loud, tasteless. Everything's got to be coated in gold, including his toilet, which is tacky. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
tacky, isn't it?
Even his tan, his spray tan,
Yeah.
it's not good. I mean, I thought this man had wealth. He obviously doesn't because he does like just spray like nobody's taking care of him.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of shows you exactly who he is. Like he doesn't want people to take care of him. He wants to do everything himself. He wants to make the decisions for himself.
Yeah.
So he's not going to listen to people. He barely listened to him the first time. Do you think he's going to listen to him the second time? Absolutely not. It's
Absolutely.
so gross.
We're going to have to wrap it up in a moment. But before we do, we've got another super chat from Puninator. Thank you, Puninator. You've been very, very generous this evening, and I feel bad now because I feel like I'm going to have to let you down, but I'll let you down gently. To finish on a high note, can you both react to the epic rap battle between Trump and Harris? We can't because I'm in Liverpool at the moment, even though I just had to do an emergency trip back to Durham and then back here today. So that was 7 hours. Fun. In an electric car that I had to charge in the rain.
No.
And the charger didn't work, so I had to go and find somewhere else and had to wait for the people to come out of the... Anyway, yeah, I got back here. But yeah, I don't have it set up on this computer here, my laptop. I don't have it set up to send sound to Brenna. If I'm at home and I'm on my desktop PC, I can actually send sound. So I can play a video clip now. You know, on the Friday Night Social, I can play a video clip, and you'll all be able to hear the video clip for a change. Because normally everyone has to sort of sit there in silence, not knowing what is going on. But yeah, I can actually I can do that. I haven't got it set up on this computer. I could get it set up, but it'll take about 15 minutes of Brenna, I don't know, twiddling her thumbs while I'm like on the keyboard like this, like changing things. So sorry about that. So before we go, we're going to do one more stateside next week with Mikey, I hope, on the Monday, and then on the Tuesday it's going to be the actual election. So before you go, what's your plans for election night? Are you just going to stay up, or are you going to be on this?
I got tickets to an event with who I said, the Dave Min, who's running for our Congress,
Yeah.
who is the one that like President Clinton was around for, and Pod Save America was here yesterday. That's the race that everybody's sort of looking at, including just my area. So he at one of our local hotels is doing an event, which is usual. I usually try to go to an election event. I'm probably going to take the next day off of work because of it, but because it's going to be a long night. I have a friend who's traveling. She's going to be in Portugal, and she's like, it's going to be like 9 a.m. when it turns midnight. So please, like, let me know what happens. So she said if Trump gets elected, she's staying in Europe. So
Yeah.
she's like,
that's
I'm
fair
done.
enough. Can't argue
She's
with
like,
that.
I'm just gonna stay.
Well, we're gonna be doing an all night election cast or election jamboree like we did for the British election.
Yeah.
So what I'll do
Maybe
is
I'll get on my phone and
well, I was gonna say, if I give you the link, you can get on your phone and say hello from wherever you are.
I can just show everybody what's going around.
Yeah, if we're getting some good results in, because we probably won't find out. This is the mad thing about this. We can stay up all night, and unlike the British election where it's decided on the night, it could be several days before.
The good news is we'll see a lot more of local elections and their results, because those will, at least when it comes to the states and some of those other ones, those are actually really interesting. I know everybody's like focusing on Trump Harris, but if you don't have the right, legislative branch in order to create the legislation, to create the bills, the president really doesn't matter. So we also need to look at those ones, and we need to look at things like governors, because those are also going to enact the things, especially when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to welfare and providing people with the things that they need, especially if it's homelessness that you're interested in, if it's the fentanyl crisis that you're interested in, you need people who are going to enact those. So you will be seeing results in that case. Yes, I think the presidential race might be a little bit longer than we want.
I think
we might be slogging a
so
little bit.
One of the interesting things that might happen this year, this doesn't happen very often, it's an incredibly rare event, is that the Democrats have a bit of an uphill struggle if they want to maintain control of the Senate, just because of the way that it shakes out. In this particular election, a third of the senators are being re-elected. It's a 6-year cycle, and a lot of them, it's going to be very difficult for the Democrats to make up ground basically on what's going. I mean, I think something like 25 of those seats are definitely going to go to the Republicans who have had them for years. However, in the House of Representatives, the Democrats only need to win like 4 seats, and they win possession of the House of the Representatives. So we could see the 2 chambers do a switcheroo, and the House of Representatives go blue, and the Senate unfortunately going red.
So this is something that we need to look at too. So those are important races.
Yeah.
So I would make sure that even if you're bored with what happens with the presidential, because that won't be for a while, make sure that you pay attention to some of those, because those do matter.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Brenna, well, thank you so much for joining us all the way over from sunny California. And big shout out to everyone in the chat. Thank you very much. And for the super chats, give us a like on the way out. Uncle Phil will be back in the morning at 9:30 for Morning Brew. And until then, I'll say thanks for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.